Morning, folks. Welcome to your fireside demo at Lake Superior Art Glass. Today I'm going to be doing a custom request, something that I've made in the past, and it's been a long time since I've done one, so I thought it'd be fun to try it again, see if I can remember how to do it. I'm going to be doing a hand pendant, basically a sculpture of a hand turned into a pendant, and this one is actually going to look like Jerry Garcia's hand. So if those of you who don't know, Jerry was missing his middle finger from the first knuckle on his right hand. So yeah, it's kind of a fun tribute to Jerry Garcia. True Dead fans know that hand symbol is pretty iconic to him. And yeah, it'll just be a fun little demo. So one of our other artists we've had in the gallery for a long time, Nate Lynn, requested this, and figured it'd be a fun chance to try it out, see if I can do it again. So yeah, AJ's watching. All right, I got the Dead playing for you, AJ. Figured it was only appropriate. So yeah, with that, we'll get started. This is a sculpting technique that I learned from Salt. He's a world-renowned glass sculptor, and I learned how to make eyes and hands from him back in like 2009, 2010. I tried looking back for my notes. I only found the ones from 2010, and I didn't have notes on the hand from that demo. That must have been 2009. So yeah, we'll just be winging it, see what happens. It's probably been at least 5 years since I've made one, I bet. So it'll be fun to try. Trying to think if I have any other updates for you guys. As I mentioned yesterday, we've got a bunch of different things in the clearance section. We've discounted a bunch of paperweights down to 75% off. We're still adding more stuff. And I will be offering some sales coming up here soon on some different items. So probably one item a week, something like that. We're working that out right now, but keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. So with that, I'm going to get started and start making a Jerry Garcia hand. Today I'll be using Frit. It's crushed up colored glass, F-R-I-T. So this is a color called Peacock Chameleon. It's that really pretty bluish teal color, but it also has silver in it, which is going to make it change color based on the flame chemistry. So it gives it a little more variation. First thing we'll do is start out by sculpting the palm. Get a gather going here. And I've mentioned this in other demos, but making things small is really hard. It'd be way easier to make this hand like, I don't know, like quarter scale or something like that. Instead, I'm going to try to do it probably like 10th or 15th scale. So trying to get those details on a small scale is really, really tricky. Alright, so we got a nice little gather here. We'll get it coated up with some Frit. We'll do a few layers just to make sure we've got good coverage. And again, when I talk about a striking color, it's going to respond to the atmosphere of my flame. So right now I've got a pretty oxidizing atmosphere, and that's going to keep the color pretty teal looking with a little bit of variation. But if I start taking out some oxygen and getting it more propane in the flame, that's a reduction environment, and that's going to bring out more of those metals to the surface and give it some more color hues. So you can always do that later, so that's kind of a best practice thing for striking or reactive colors, is keep them oxidized the whole time you work them, because at the very end of the piece you can always reduce it. But if you reduce it too early on, it's really hard to unreduce. Now we're going to squish this flat. Just getting everything nice and melted right now. Okay. So then I would always look at these and determine if there's one orientation that lends itself to a hand better than another. The shape of our palm is not a symmetrical shape. It is almost kind of square. And so I just kind of like to look at the shape that I got when I squished it to help determine what orientation we're going to do this. The really cool thing about sculpting a hand is that you've got a live reference right here. So super, super helpful to be able to look at it and compare and see what you need to do to make it look more realistic. Again, I'm using my handy sculpting tool, really crappy paring knife. I may inherit another one of those soon because I had to admit to my wife this morning that I used our nice paring knife to open a package last night and got it all full of tape gunk. She was not super impressed by that. There we go, that's looking better. Yeah, next, I think I do some of the lines in the palm. Just start to establish them a little bit. I'll probably have to go back and work them in a little bit later. But they can give you a really nice frame of reference as you're sculpting. You add them in right now. Kind of see that little crease there. That's that line that goes from between your pointer and your middle finger over to below your pinky. I think I'm going to stop there with details in the palm and start adding some fingers. A lot of times you'll see me pulling off the ends of rods like that. Anytime the rod has been cut, there's little micro bubbles that come from that, and they're just less than ideal, so I like to get rid of them. In this case, I'd be covering them up with frit, but I don't want to compromise any of the structure of the glass. Probably would be just fine, but just not really worth it in my opinion. I'm going to start with the pointer finger and then just go down the line. So I was trying to stretch it out there. It's like a really quick version of the hot shot move where you swing things to stretch it out. And interestingly enough, when people ask about, how long does the glass stay hot, it's obviously all relative to how thick of a piece of glass you're using. But these hand pendants are probably what I reference on the short end of things, because once I start sculpting the details of each finger, I only get like a second or two once that glass is out of the flame to really attempt to put in those details. So on the fingers, you can always remove material, but you can't really ever add it back. So when I do these, I keep the fingers kind of long at first, and then once I get all of them on there, I'll start shortening them up and defining the proportions. So looks pretty funny at this point, but got the pointer finger on there. Oh boy, whole Flameworking crew is here. No pressure. Got a lot of glass artists watching on this one. I saw Jerry Spangler was watching. Nate Lynn is watching. He was the artist who requested this. Nice thing about making Jerry's hand is the middle finger is really easy. Just a little stub. kind of botched that one. I got it a little too high up on the, the middle finger there, so I'm going to pull that ring finger off and get rid of some of that glass and try it again. So using shears is another great way to actually make a hand. You can almost make a big mitt and then just cut all the fingers out of it. I'm not a huge fan of that method. I think it's really hard to control the details and the proportions, and it's kind of just putting all your eggs in one basket. So I prefer to add each finger individually. AJ probably can't believe that I'm leaving this song on right now. The slow Grateful Dead songs are the ones that I'm definitely not a fan of. I just I need some drive in my music. I need a good beat, and when they start getting out there, the beat goes away, and I lose a little interest. And so I'm usually nexting those songs, but I don't really have a good free hand right now to do that, so we got through that one. Amit, I don't think I could do anything like that. That's probably not, yeah, that's a really big piece of glass and not the kind of sculpture work that I do, but thank you for checking. This is how it always works. By the time you get to the pinky, pretty much out of room on the top of your palm, but we'll make it look all right. It's usually how it always goes. Not taking requests here, AJ. Get real. There it is. Looking great. Looking a little creature-like right now, but we'll bring it around. Alright, so next we'll start kind of defining those fingers and getting the lengths right. I always use the reference that like your ring and your pointer finger are about the same height as the palm of your hand. So that's kind of my reference here. And then as I sculpt these, they're going to get a little shorter too. Every time I heat it up and put in a crease for a knuckle, they do tend to shorten up a bit too. So I kind of have to anticipate that a little bit. All right, starting to put some knuckles in. Alright, so maybe you guys can see now some of that detail that I just added on the back side of that finger, pointer finger for the knuckles. So I just remembered a little order of operations thing here that just came back to me, and that is if you sculpt the inside details of the fingers first, when you flip it around to the backside and sculpt the knuckles, the backside of the knuckles, the hand or the finger will actually start to bend because you're pushing on the backside, and it'll create kind of a natural bend. So I just kind of remembered that. So now I'll implement that on the other ones. Knowing when to put the detail in is really tricky because you gotta be super careful because you can melt it right out when you go to work on an area right next to that spot. So my ring finger right now is looking a little too long. So I'm actually going to have to go in and shorten that up just a little bit. Right? Yeah, it's always got to be the same as the pointer finger, so. Thanks, Noah. Of course, here's the mailman. Always gotta come when I'm giving a demo. I'll have to run out and grab a package from him really quick in just a second here, so bear with me. Alright, hang tight. So I'm just kind of redefining the proportions on the ring finger right now. They're just a little too long. it was too long, so I had to remove some, which then means the knuckles and the fingernail placement was all off. So just going back and making some little adjustments there. Alright, that's starting to look a little bit better. Now I'll work on the pinky. What's crazy about the pinky finger is your top knuckle pretty much lines up with your bottom knuckle of your other fingers. So that's always my reference point on the pinky. I'm starting to put a little definition where the fingers meet the palm. Another fun thing about sculpting glass is that it can actually move a lot like the skin, like I was saying with how if you do the joints in the right order, the fingers will just start bending. But yeah, that's kind of how you have to think about moving the glass, is, you know, thinking about how it's going to flow when you melt it, and use that to kind of anticipate what moves to do and where to heat and press. Call that good in the detail, at least for now. And I'm going to add the thumb, and after I add the thumb, then I'll go through and kind of refine all my final details. These things look pretty weird without the thumb on them, and so I don't want to get too invested in any details until I have all the pieces in place and I can really see how it's looking. Again, leaving it kind of wild right now. I'm going to go back in and melt in that connection point, flow it all together a little better so it looks more realistic. added some of the thumb detail right in the palm there. I'm gonna do the knuckles on the back of the palm now. Or the back of the thumb is what I meant to say. Thanks, AJ. Oh man, I just thought of the best parody. Sometimes that Lysol is shining on me. Other times you need to quarantine. It's the perfect quarantine parody song here. There's the detail on the inside of the palm. Now I'm going to work on the back of the palm. Got to remember, I got to keep close to this flame as you're sculpting because that glass cools so quickly. You never quite get all the lines in there you're trying to do. If you bring it too far away from the flame, you just lose that heat. Added some more detail on the back of the palm there. Trying to get those tendons kind of coming down from the knuckles. Just got to go touch up a few details, and then I think I'm just about done. Putting a couple more lines on the back knuckles here where stuff's been melted out. Nice of you to join us, Jake. Coming when all the work's done, though. Pretty much done. I'm going to wrap this up. So I think that's about it, you guys. I'm pretty happy with it. It's definitely not the nicest one I've made, but it's not too shabby for the first one in 5 years. Alright, I got to touch up the top knuckle of the fingers here. They're bent in a little too much for my liking. They're looking a little too monster-like there. There we go. All right. Now someone else wants to deliver something. All right, hang tight. Alright, time to finish it up. And this is where I was just remembering it gets really tricky. So I'm going to punty up to one of these fingers, and I happen to remember that when I go to tap off that last punty, sometimes I've lost a finger there as well. So I got to make sure this punty is really, really delicate. Luckily on this one I'm going to punty to the half finger stub. So that should be a lot more durable and shouldn't really be an issue, but yeah, one of those lessons I remember coming back from when I used to make these quite a bit. 2009 through 20, I don't know, 13 or 14 probably. Now I'll just do a little loop. I'm left-handed here. Now this punty is on there super delicate, so I gotta be really careful from here on out as I manipulate this loop that I don't put too much pressure on anything. Alright, time to finish it up and put it in the kiln. Alright, there it is, folks. Jerry Hand Pendant. Oops, see if I can flip it around here, maybe. Sweet, well, that was a fun adventure. Thanks for the suggestion, Nate. Glad you guys got to watch that, and yeah, see a little bit of some sculpting process for flameworking. So yeah, as I mentioned before, we got new stuff coming on the website, some super reduced items, 75% off. Gonna be doing some sales coming up. Our apparel is available online, so keep supporting small businesses. I saw a couple orders come in during the demo, so thanks you guys so much for that. Yeah, I feel like there's something else, but I can't think of what. So thanks again, you guys. Keep supporting small businesses. Stay safe. Keep your distance.